This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Bagrat Galstanyan, the Armenian Archbishop turned protest leader, announced today on his official Telegram channel that he plans to organize a large gathering in Yerevan on September 22nd after a lengthy summer hiatus. Galstanyan had repeatedly suggested he would call for more protests this month to attempt to force Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan out of office, but had not provided an exact date until now. In his Telegram post, Galstanyan also revealed that he met today with former presidents Robert Kocharyan and Serge Sargsyan, who now lead the opposition to Pashinyan. He did not disclose any details from those discussions. Kocharyan's bloc, the Armenia Alliance, confirmed last month it continued to back Galstanyan. Galstanyan first rose to prominence in April when Pashinyan's administration signed a controversial border delimitation and demarcation deal with Azerbaijan. Galstanyan went on to lead what became Armenia's biggest protest movement since the 2018 revolution that catapulted Pashinyan to power, but failed to make any concrete political achievements. After weeks of demonstrations in Yerevan, lawmakers from Pashinyan's civil contract party succeeded in June in blocking the opposition from calling a vote to open an impeachment inquiry into Pashinyan. Following that, Galstanyan announced he would take time away to come up with a new method to oust Pashinyan, and then spent the summer traveling around Armenia in an apparent bid to garner support in rural areas traditionally more loyal to Pashinyan. Pashinyan has claimed his government is not obliged to give Russian border guards control of a future transit route connecting mainland Azerbaijan and its Nakhichevan exclave through Armenia. There is no such thing written, there is no such thing, Pashinyan insisted yesterday at a parliamentary question and answer session. That appears to contradict the Kremlin-brokered ceasefire declaration that ended the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war, which calls for all economic and transport connections between Armenia and Azerbaijan to be reopened, including an overland route to guarantee unobstructed movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo between mainland Azerbaijan and the Nakhichevan exclave via Armenia's southernmost Syunik region. The ceasefire specifies that the border guard service of the Russian Federal Security Service shall be responsible for overseeing that particular route, which Azerbaijan refers to as the Zangezur corridor. Russia quickly hit back at Pashinyan's remarks, with a foreign ministry spokesperson slamming the prime minister for what she termed his irresponsible and manipulative behavior. It is absolutely clear who should do what, Maria Zakharova added. The exchange marks the latest development over the so-called Zangezur corridor issue, which remains one of the main sticking points to years-long efforts by Armenia and Azerbaijan to reach a normalization deal. The corridor issue gained renewed focus last month when Russia's top diplomat Sergei Lavrov went on state television to accuse Armenia of sabotaging peace talks with Azerbaijan by refusing to give up control of the route, marking a significant escalation in rhetoric. That prompted a steady beat of increasingly stark warnings over the past few weeks by Iran, which has repeatedly spoken out against the so-called Zangezur corridor, as it would, in effect, strip the Islamic Republic of its strategically important border with Armenia. To that point, Iran's top security official Ali Akbar Ahmadian traveled to St. Petersburg earlier this week to meet with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Shoigu. The closed-door discussions included the corridor issue, Zakharova confirmed yesterday, saying, "We have provided all the necessary clarifications on this matter. We assume that the arguments we made were heard and accepted. The Russian position on lifting the transport blockade in the region has not changed in any way," Zakharova insisted, in an apparent attempt at damage control. Zakharova also had some choice words for Alen Simonyan, Armenia's parliament speaker and a close political ally to Pashinyan, who suggested earlier this week ending a decades-old agreement stationing Russian troops on the country's borders with Iran and Turkey. "It's worth considering how exposing the borders may affect the security of the country while the situation in the region is still not fully normalized," Zakharova warned, adding, "Simonyan is not an expert on this subject." In other news related to Russia's role in the region, Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin held talks yesterday with Serdar Kılıç, Turkey's special envoy to Armenia. Galuzin, who oversees Russia's diplomacy in the former Soviet Union, and Kılıç, who leads Turkey's stalled efforts to normalize relations with Armenia, engaged in a thorough exchange of views on ways to achieve lasting peace and stability in the South Caucasus, Russia's foreign ministry said in a press release. No other details were made immediately available. A group of minor pro-Western political parties have received the green light from the Armenian government to launch a signature-gathering campaign in a long-shot effort to force a referendum on joining the European Union. The head of Armenia's Central Election Commission, Vahagan Hovakimyan, confirmed the news yesterday to the Armen Press state news agency. With the commission's approval, the parties now have 60 days until November 14th to collect signatures in the country of fewer than 3 million people. Under Armenian law, any petition that gets at least 50,000 signatures must be debated in parliament. Any proposal that gets at least 300,000 signatures signatures must be put to a nationwide vote. Armenia's last high-profile citizens' petition would have criminalized recognizing Nagorno-Karabakh as part of Azerbaijan. That campaign, dubbed Hayakve, surpassed the 50,000 signature threshold required to force parliament to consider it, but fell well short of getting the 300,000 signatures needed to bypass lawmakers and put the proposal directly to the voters. Parliament, which is controlled by Pashinyan's Civil Contract Party, quickly killed the initiative. Lawmakers have so far not indicated their position on this latest citizens' initiative, whose launch comes just days after Pashinyan confirmed his administration is already actively considering submitting an application to join the EU. It would take years, if not decades, for Armenia to join. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 17,470. That's the number of former Nagorno-Karabakh residents who have received formal on-the-books employment in Armenia since Azerbaijan ethnically cleansed them from the region nearly 1 year ago. That's according to Armenia's Labor and Social Affairs Ministry, which provided the numbers today in response to a CivilNet inquiry. The total number of displaced former Nagorno-Karabakh residents in Armenia is around 100,000. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.